Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to build a WordPress website using Elementor. But we're not going to use Elementor in the traditional sense. Instead, we're going to use it using their new product, the Elementor Cloud Platform. And this is really impressive because it's giving you some of the best of two different worlds. One world is the website builder, which has everything in one location. You pay one fee and you get to use everything in one location. It saves you a lot of the learning curve you'd otherwise have with WordPress. Now, the downside with that would be that you lack some customization, which is why sometimes people opt for the WordPress option, which of course gives you a lot more customization and a lot more freedom to make a lot of different things on your website. But the compromise there would be that you have to work with a lot of different services, hosting and domain and a builder platform and a lot of different plugins and things like that, where in the middle right now, Elementor is allowing you to use WordPress, but rather than having all of those different stores, all of those different accounts you have to set up and pay different fees for every single one, it's all tied into one bundle, the Elementor Cloud Platform. So let's get started. I'm going to show you guys a lot of the benefits of that in this video, and we'll also talk a lot about how to make the website. I'll build an example website so that at the end of this video, you'll not only have a website of your own, but you'll also have everything you need, all the tools you need to customize it further, to add anything you want, and to hopefully have a successful online presence, whether you're a fundraiser, whether you're making a wedding website, a personal portfolio, a small mom and pop shop business you're trying to bring online, a restaurant, you get the idea. It could be a blog, anything you want. WordPress is incredibly customizable, and to be clear, this is still using WordPress. It's just really cleaned up and a lot easier to use. So in order to start this, we're going to go onto whatever browser you like and type in santrelmedia.com/Elementor. That's Elementor, just like it sounds. And that's going to bring you to this page right here. Now, Elementor in the past was just one thing. It was your way to give you a drag and drop editor on WordPress, and that was kind of all they did. They were a plugin. And so, like I said, now they have the full cloud website option. So looking at the two, the plugin itself was already $49 per year. And assuming you want to have that, which it is one of our favorite ways to make a WordPress website, assuming you already want to have that, that makes this an incredibly good deal, because this is $99 per year and gives you everything from Elementor Pro, as well as hosting, as well as an SSL, as well as a lot of other things, which means that you're basically hosting this for about $4 per month if you account for the $49 already being spent on the editor there. So what this is actually coming with, of course, you have the hosting, you've got the drag and drop editor, which is a lot of people know about that. It's very, very popular in the space. You also have Cms Tools, so you're using WordPress, it's pre-installed on here. And I normally don't go through all of the different things on a website like this, but because this is a pretty new product, I really wanted to cover what it's actually bundling in here. So like I said, you're getting the Elementor editor, which is a drag and drop editor, and it takes something that is otherwise could be very complicated and makes it a lot more like making, for example, a PowerPoint, where you want a box, you just click and drag it wherever you want, and it really makes it a lot easier to add images and text and buttons and some really functional things as well. Of course, it is responsive editing, so that means if you make a desktop website, it'll also work on a phone. It'll just automatically adjust things in a certain order, and you'll have a great website on both mobile and desktop, which is incredibly important considering most websites out there have about a 50-50 split on their traffic. Of course, we also have a lot of templates, which, as I might have mentioned before, Elementor has their pro templates, their expert stuff, and all of that is getting bundled in with this, which means that with basically no effort at all, you can have an entire website made, and all you have to do is add your own text and your own images. And if you want to move things around, you can, but starting with a template saves you so much time and really makes it a lot easier. Going through, of course, design does a lot of what I just mentioned. CMS tools, you have WordPress on here, which means that, or really it is running WordPress, it is WordPress. And so that means you're going to get a lot of the apps that you already probably really like, or ones that I would recommend at least. And if we go over to hosting, you'll see here, they're saying they do come with SSL security, which is the little lock icon on the top, which is really essential for pretty much any website out there. And it's running on the Google Cloud Platform, and of course they have support as well. So with that being said, I know, like I said, I normally don't cover the boring stuff like that, but I wanted to point out that pretty much everything you need for building a website is included in this price, and I mean, my opinion, it is a pretty fair price there. So we're gonna go up and say get started on the top right, or you can actually just click on buy now right here. And this is going to walk us through the process of setting up our account. So the first thing we will be doing is actually creating an account. And then once our account is created, of course, we can add our billing information. And that'll bring you to this page right here. So what we want to do is actually start creating our website, and this is going to walk us through some of the steps we need to actually get started with the WordPress side of this. So our site name, I'm just going to say for the purposes of this video, maybe I am a blogger that talks about coffee, so we're going to say Mike's Coffee. We're going to say Mike's Coffee Blog. Mike's Coffee Blog. We're going to say next. And this is going to say that right out of the gate, we're going to get this domain. We can customize this later, so it's not mikescoffeeblog.elementor.cloud, because elementor.cloud, like, that's not exactly what you want, but it's a good start. We're going to start with that right now. So I'm going to say next, and like I said, we can always change that. And this is going to be a blog, but of course you can make it an online store and use WooCommerce or a portfolio, whatever you want. I'm going to go with blog right now. We'll say next, and they're going to ask us if we want to start with one of their website kits. So I think that's really not a bad idea, so I'm going to actually go and do that right now. So if we scroll down, you can see of these, maybe this one resonates most with me, so I could go and say what's inside, or we could just start it. So I'm going to say what's inside so we get kind of a better idea of what it looks like. And of course, when you're doing this, always remember to check out not just the desktop site. So I like this site, but I think I would like to customize it a little bit more. But also check out the mobile site. That's what I was getting at. So the mobile site, of course, is going to be incredibly important. And for something like recipes, if you're like a recipe type blog, keep in mind some people might be using tablets as well. I know a lot of people have maybe a tablet in their kitchen, so that would be a really popular one there. So always check out all three. I'm going to go back to all website kits. I don't know if I really like that for a blog about coffee. Maybe this one's better. Maybe you're going to like where they actually make or grow the coffee beans. So let's check this one and say that, you know what, all right, maybe this one's good. I don't really like how this text is overlaying right there, so that doesn't really impress me. I'm gonna go with the first one. I really like that. So let's start with this kit right here. We're gonna say start with this kit. And it does take a minute until it actually builds your whole website, because keep in mind, you're taking an entire template here with a lot of images and text and formatting, and you're putting it onto your website, your WordPress website. All right, and there we go. Our site is now ready, so I'm gonna click on Let's Go. And it brings you to your dashboard here. And this is where Elementor is going to show you all of the different websites you have. So if you only have one, which we currently do, this is all you're going to see right now. So I'm going to say, got it. And otherwise, you would have other ones. So you can see that if you have some websites that are hosted from maybe like SiteGround or Hostinger or something, and you're using Elementor Pro on them, they would show up here as hosted by third party. You can sort it like that. Or you can say hosted by Elementor, and it's going to show us this one. Of course, they're all going to show up there anyway. So with this one, we can see site lock is on, which essentially means that people are not going to find your website right now on Google. You can unlock it, of course, once you're ready to go. And this is something you definitely want to make sure you remember to do, because otherwise you won't be found on Google. Like, it's literally not letting you do that. So we're gonna go and say either edit with Elementor is one option, or we can open the WordPress dashboard, or we can manage this website. So going through these one at a time, let's start off from the bottom and work our way up and say manage this website. I'll show you what these options actually are. And from here, within the Elementor, essentially still within Elementor, we're able to go down and change some other things about here. So we have SSL right here. We can add a custom domain. Remember I said before that .elementor.cloud is really not the most professional one you want. You want to be like Amazon.com or like if it was Amazon.elementor.cloud, that would not really have the same effect. So if you want to add your own custom domain, all you have to do is click on Add Custom Domain. They give you the A record and the C name. You just copy these, and if you go over to either GoDaddy or, I'll show you right now. So for example, if you want to get one from, say, GoDaddy, you can open a new page and go to santrelmedia.com/GoDaddy. Click on the little GoDaddy logo in the corner, and from here you can just click on domains. They'll give you a whole thing for how to search for your domain. So you could say maybe for domains like, what did I say? It was Mike's Coffee Blog.com. We can say buy it, and they'll show you if it's available. I guarantee this one is. And right here you can see it's $12 per year. GoDaddy, like I said, very, very popular. And you can also bundle right here and save by getting the security and the email as well for an extra $250 a month. Really not a terrible price for that. So that's why something like that makes a lot of sense. And you can also see that you might find cheaper options if it's like .blog, for example, .org, .store. And keep in mind, some of these are promotional prices for just the first year. The second year will be $20 per year. But again, that's like less than $2 per month. So for a lot of people, that really is worth it. But be sure to shop around. Maybe Namecheap's a better option for you. Maybe Google Domains. There's a lot of places to get it. And the whole point of this is eventually they'll ask you to copy the A record and the C name, and that's what these are. So even if you're not adding a domain yet, you can always come back here and just click Add Custom Domain, and that'll show you the information you need. Going down here, the site lock is on. We can add a pin, so that way if somebody visits our website while it's still under construction, say you want somebody to review your website, maybe it's somebody on your team, you can easily copy this and send it to them, and they'll be able to sign in and see the entire website, so it's not blocked for them. But whenever you're ready, you can unlock this just by toggling the little switch on the top, and that will actually, first we have to verify your email, of course, and so that'll actually make your website live so anybody can see it, and it will be found on Google as well. Going down here, we have backups, and you can manually create a new backup, as you see right here. Otherwise, it's automatically backed up every 24 hours, which again, I said this was kind of a one-stop shop for websites, and that's one of the big benefits that a lot of others do charge you for. Having those daily backups is incredibly, for me, it's incredibly important, because you don't know, especially when you're new to making websites, or really even if you've done it a lot, sometimes you update a plugin, or sometimes something happens, your computer crashes when you're doing something, and your website can end up damaged. And instead of spending all the time to repair it or rebuild it or anything like that, just rolling back to a backup, just restoring yesterday's version of the website, saves you so much time and really makes things much, much easier. So that's really all I wanted to show you right here. If we hit the back button, actually, yeah, let's not even do that. I'll show you on the top. The other two buttons are just right there. We don't have to go back. Edit with Elementor and open the WordPress dashboard. They're both very similar. So let's start with Edit with Elementor. This is going to take you to the home page of your website in the Elementor editor, which we could access through the WordPress dashboard. And I will show you how to do that because honestly, for me, I do most of my editing for a website starting from the WordPress dashboard rather than starting from like Elementor's site, for example. But you'll see right here, it's just a shortcut, it's convenient, and it takes you over to editing your homepage using the Elementor editor. Now, looking at this right here, I'm going to go through how to edit this a little bit more later on, but I just wanted to show you that you do have that shortcut. Of course, you can always go back to exit to the WordPress dashboard, or from that previous tab, if we just open the WordPress dashboard, they'll both take you to the same place, the WordPress dashboard right here. And this WordPress dashboard is slightly different. It's almost identical to what you'd get from just about any other hosting plan, but it is very slightly different for a couple reasons. One of them, you'll see site lock is on right there, and so we do have some extra like activity log, for example, right here. A lot of the Elementor stuff is kind of added. They added their own flavor to this, has some convenient tools on here. And so I want to go through, let's start off on the left side. I'll walk you through all of these first, and then we'll talk about how to actually customize one page at a time on your website to make it your own, to actually build out this hypothetical coffee blog that we named this website. So on the left side, you can see on the top left, this is actually your WordPress. You just go and check out more about wordpress.org. Of course, the actual CMS or WordPress itself is free, but that's why Elementor is allowed to use it, and it's really convenient here. So dashboard, of course, will show you some of the basic stuff, and you can, if you go to home, you can customize this and have whatever you want in different places. So you can drag boxes here, you can get rid of things. I don't really use the dashboard as nearly as much as I should. I know a lot of people really love the shortcuts here, but everything I do is always on the left side anyway. The updates, of course, the way this works is that you do have plugins and you have themes or whatever you might want to, really just plugins and themes that you can update on here. So if WordPress needs to be updated, if any of your plugins need to be updated, or if any of the themes, obviously there's like security patches rolling out, different features, different versions. You can come here and update all of them. And whenever you do, make sure you click update and you wait until it says the update was completed. If you close out too soon, you can either damage your website or end up with maintenance mode enabled, and you can have some problems. So always make sure you wait until that shows up. Then we have activity log, which, like I said, is one of the more unique things to this. So it's going to show like everything you did here. So if you added like a footer, if you added a home page, whatever it might be, if you're doing things, you can see all of that is going to show up right here. Going down to posts, these are your blog posts. So you have web pages and you have your posts. The posts are going to be formatted slightly differently. Of course, they're usually a little bit more time-sensitive type things. They'll have a date stamped on the top. I mean, they can be evergreen, but there's something that you want to go back and update all the time. And at the top, it would say when it was last updated. And so because this is a new website that I don't plan on actually using these blog posts, they're not relevant to me, I'm going to select all of them. We're going to go to bulk actions, and we're going to move all of these to trash. I'm going to apply, and I know this might affect the way the website looks right now if anything's linking over to them. We might have some links that are kind of dead now, but it's better than having a link to a page that isn't actually designed by you and is not relevant to your website. So We can add a new post. I'm not going to do that right now, but that's how you'd add a blog post right there. And of course, when you do that, you can build it out with Elementor, which is incredibly powerful. Or you could use a template from Elementor, which is even more powerful. But going down, we've got media. This is where you can just bulk upload a lot of images. And so let's just do that right now. Some of the images, maybe just some coffee stock photos, for example, that I might want to use during the build of this website. I can click on Add New. I can select files from my laptop. I could say Open. And there we go, we have all of them being uploaded. I usually like to do that in the beginning of a website build. I used to not do that, but now I just found it so much easier if all the pictures I want are just all there right away. So when I'm designing, I can click and drag and really see what I have to work with. Going down the left side, the next thing we have is pages, which is going to be more cornerstone type thing. So this is going to be your home page, an about us page, maybe a privacy policy page. Maybe you have a page about like contacting you or anything, whatever it might be. All the pages that you would normally have across like the navigational bar on the top of your website, those are generally what you'd want to be making right here. So of the pages we have, again, home, sample home page, and the about us page. So I'm going to leave all of those right now, just customize those. It's a lot easier than building from scratch. And remember, that's why we got this template in the first place. But you could also add a new page in this. Like I said, maybe we want to make a new one that, for example, would be like a privacy policy, or maybe this would be like a contact us page. I'm just going to call this one contact us. And rather than building it all right here in the WordPress builder, you just click on Edit with Elementor, and that'll take you over to the Elementor Builder, where we can either use a template and really make it build it out like that, or of course we could just start drag and dropping things like we wanted to there. So I'm going to close this out, get back to this tab, and going down, the next thing we have is comments. I don't like to have comments enabled on a lot of blogs, at least until they're a lot larger. I just find that usually they end up being spam comments anyway, so I don't like to deal with that. Elementor has its own settings down here, and this could be where you would change, a lot of the backend stuff for Elementor. I'm not going to dive into that too much. And of course, we have templates as well. And these are really powerful as you start to really do more with your website, make more blog posts. You can build your own custom template for a blog post. And every time you write a new blog, you just bring that up. It's custom. It's ready for you to go. Or you can make pop-ups and things like that down here as well. Appearance is going to be the theme. Right now, we already did select a theme. So we're using this one right here, which is Hello Elementor. We can customize that if we want to change the font, for example, or the color scheme or something. We don't have a lot of plugins right now, but some of them, for example, I really don't need Hello Dolly, so I'm going to select that. I'm going to say we can actually delete it. It's not even activated right now, so I'm just going to delete that one. And we can get other ones as well. So in general, you're going to want to make sure you don't have too many plugins on here. The more plugins you have, really just the more surface area you have for attack. So if you're worried about anybody hacking your website or anything like that, which you definitely should be worried about that, you don't want to have too many plugins. But also on that subject, maybe we want to add a couple other plugins here that are going to help us from security and from SEO standpoints. So if I just go and say one of them, Jetpack's a good one, but let's start off with Yoast Seo. So if you say Yoast, we can type that in, and you'll see Yoast right there. We're going to click on install, and then you have to activate that as well. So we're going to say install and then say activate. So now we have Yoast Seo, and I'll show you that throughout this video on how to actually update that. We can say add new, and there's really two more I want to add. One of them is going to be called WordFence. This is a very popular one to kind of secure your website a little bit more. You can upgrade this, and this is going to allow you to have things like two-factor authentication when you sign in, among other things like that. Now notice right there, some things are not compatible with Elementor Cloud. Keep that in mind. They'll pop up, and obviously you just can't install it, and so you usually do have other options as well. But keep in mind, if you want, so for example, if you went to this to limit login, you went to their website and paid for it already, and then you came here, and then you found out it wasn't compatible, that would be a little bit frustrating. So make sure you're always checking here first before you go and just pay for some other plugin, and then try to add that after the fact. So then the third one I want to add after this is done activating is actually called Smush, and this is going to really improve your load speed. So essentially, when you have a lot of photos on your website, there's really two things that slow it down. Well, really one thing. The size of the photos is going to slow it down, but there's two things that Smush does to really improve that. One of them is that it will strip out the metadata and compress the file so that the image still looks really good, but is way smaller of a file. And the second thing is called lazy loading, which allows you to just load the top photo first, and they'll load the other stuff down below eventually. And that way the user doesn't experience the loading. They just load whatever they're going to see first. And as they scroll, the other things will load then. And so it really gives you a much better experience. And the benefit is that you'll rank higher on Google if you have a faster loading page. So those are the plugins we have right now. The last one, like I said, we want to add Smush. So I'm going to say add new. And you can see Smush right here by WPMU Dev. We're going to install it, and Smush, of course, does have an upgraded version as well, and that's why I see a lot of the other things from them, like Hummingbird and Forminator. If you buy like their whole package, there is a lot of incredible stuff that they offer for WordPress. I recommend checking it out if you're going to use any of the other plugins. It's really nice when you upgrade, but regardless, for the purposes of this video, we're just going to use the free version. And you'll see right here, we will have to actually complete the WordFence installation by adding our contact information, and we don't actually have to activate Premium. You can if you want. Now, I'm not going to do that right now. The next thing I want to do is actually go down to Settings, or actually, let's go to Users. You can see right now my user's like some random arbitrary name, and if I write any blog post, it's going to say written by user 6280. Like, you don't want to deal with that. Instead, let's go over here and select this username. We're going to edit this, and I'm just going to have, because I will be an author on a lot of these blog posts, I want to make sure that my name is just going to be Mike. We're going to say Mike or Mike O, for example. We can't actually change the username there, which is unfortunately, and we're going to say whatever. We're going to display publicly as Mike O, so you can see in the top corner, that's what it is. And there we go. I can add a photo if I wanted to, a profile picture. I'm not going to do that just yet, and I'm going to say update profile. As you start to build your blog, be sure you do go add a little bit more of an author profile in case people do want to learn more about your different authors or more about you. And the last thing right here is if we go down to settings, and we can see here we've got the tagline is just another Elementor Cloud website. So I don't want that. Instead, I want this to be a fantastic blog about coffee and its origins. Coffee and its origins. Okay. And then down here we can see the overall, like the way the date's laid out. We can see that. We're going to say save changes. And we want to make sure that, just going through a couple different settings, we want to make sure this is laid out correctly. If we go down to writing, you'll see from here, there's nothing I want to change there. If we go down to permalinks, this is going to be the way your links are set up. And this is perfect right here. This is what I want, my domain slash the name of the post. Otherwise, sometimes you end up with like weird, like p equals 1, 2, 3. You don't want that. So make sure it says post name. That's going to be really important. And while we're in permalinks, you'll notice that it also says https:// which is great, which means SSL is already enabled. We don't have to do any steps on that. And so when we publish our website or when we turn off site lock, we will, we'll have that little lock icon on the top, which is exactly what we want to have. So now let's go up to the top and go to pages, and let's start actually editing that home page. So of course we have the template. I think it looks pretty good, but let's go. And I believe the front page right here, Elementor, there it is. We want to go and edit this with Elementor. And this is where everyone's going to land when they type in our domain. And so from here, we can start to add our own photos. So I'm going to say, got it, we have that, okay. And from here, let's go one at a time. Really, the way this is laid out, we have these kind of blue outlines for each of these different sections. And so this is a section layout for what our website is actually how it's really being built. And within a section, we've got a couple different layers below that. So we see right here, this one is a column and this is another column. And within the column, we can have different little elements. So this is a little paragraph, as you see outlined in the light blue. And so that's really how this whole thing's laid out. But if you want to, for example, get rid of something and move it around or edit it, when you hover over this, so let's look at section first. This section, we can click on these 6 dots, the array, and this will give us all of the settings over here, how we can adjust it to full. If we want it to, for example, not be full width, instead boxed. I like full width, so I'm going to leave it as that. If we want to change like the text or the color of anything, we can do all of that over on the left side then. And if we want to make a duplicate of it, if we want to add something else near it, we can click on Add Section. Add Section is going to add another section above that. Or if we right click on this, or on my laptop, it's actually using 2 fingers at the same time, we can duplicate this section. And so this is great. So I duplicated the section. I now have 2 of the same thing. And what I might want to do is move this. So I can click and hold the 3 dots. So if I click and hold this, I can now drag it up and down anywhere we want. So if we wanted just a really similar layout, maybe we want some different text, and we wanted this like all the way down here, for example, I can drop that right there. But you know what? Maybe I don't actually like that there, and I decided we don't like this section at all. I can just click on the X, and that will delete that section altogether. But going through another thing, if you say like, oh, I didn't mean to delete that section, over on the left side, this little history button, we can click on that, and we can just go back to wherever we were before we deleted it. So we just moved it. There we go. Now, I really did want to delete it, so I'm just going to go and delete that again. But I wanted to show you that in case you make any mistakes along the way in this process. Now from here, we can go and customize anything we want. So if we click on an element itself, so for example, maybe we want to change, I don't want that section there, I'm gonna get rid of that. Maybe we want to change like what this says. Instead of food lovers unite, we want it to say coffee lovers unite. So I'm gonna click on that, I'm gonna say coffee lovers unite. And from here, we can have a little paragraph, and my name's not Ella, it is Mike. Mike and coffee and tea recipes, you land in the right place. There we go. Okay, so maybe I want to have a little paragraph like that. And on the top, this section right here, you might wonder, well, why can't I edit that image? It looks like it's an image. Well, it's actually a background on something else. So they're using this as a background rather than a photo on the top. So if we click on this little icon right here, you can see we can go to Style, and we can see right there, that's the image you're using. Now I'm gonna use a different image. So we're gonna say choose image. We're gonna select files. So we have, let's actually not select files. Let's go to media library. Remember I uploaded all of these before, and we can see all the photos we have to work with. Maybe on the top, I wanna have, for example, maybe one of these coffee photos. Let's just go with, I think that one's a little tall. That one's a wide one. That's a wide one. Let's use a nice wide one like this. We're gonna insert that media. That'll be the top of our website, Coffee Lovers Unite. There we go, it's a little picture of coffee. And I mean, realistically, this is probably not the best template to choose for like a coffee blog, but you know, whatever. Most people don't make a blog about coffee. Usually it's a recipe or something. So right here we can see that what they're doing is they actually added like a little thing right down there that if you click on it, you can see is actually going to be our posts. That's why it's not showing up right here. If we went into the preview, it would show us that, but we did delete all of our posts. So anytime you see a little dark gray box, usually it's some kind of code. It's a little bit more responsive, and it's not going to be something you'll see in the editor. So you can always just go down here, click on the little eye, and preview the changes, and it'll show you what your website is currently looking like in a new tab, and anything like that, any of the code, if you have short code in there, it'll all be actually running correctly on here. So you can go down and you'll see there's nothing there. It doesn't have that weird gray box, but it doesn't have all of our posts. And that's why this entire website actually right now does look really strange. We also have a pop-up, very interesting. The website looks strange because we deleted all of our posts. So for example, maybe I want to get rid of a lot of those boxes. So let's close that, go back to here. And I want to get rid of these. Maybe I don't like that. Maybe I don't like that one. Because like I said, these are all linking out to different blog posts, and I deleted them. I don't want blog posts just yet. So I'm gonna delete all of these. We're gonna delete that one. And here we go. Maybe we want something that's more about us. We want this about us thing. And so I'm gonna keep that here. We've got a picture down here. We've got about me. And we've got a footer, kind of a footer layout down here. So let's go and edit this. I don't want some picture of somebody that's not me. So I can click on the little column again, edit the column, go to Style, and we can change out the image on this one as well. And this image, again, maybe we want a cup of coffee. There we go, insert that media. And I'm gonna say this one was about me. So hey there, I'm Mike. There we go. Okay. And so you can see that's how we're going to start building out this website. But this is obviously really plain. I don't like how it's just gray and gray again. So we want to add a section above this. So we can click on the little plus. We want a section that's going to have a different colored background instead of gray. Usually you can alternate like a lighter, like a gray and then like a white and something like that. So I'm going to click and add a new widget right here. We can also select a style. So I want this one to have maybe 2 columns right here. I want to have like a photo on one side and text on the other. So I'm going to click on 2-column layout. And if we click on the little 3x3 grid on the top left, this shows you all of the different elements we have that we can work with when we're building something new. So we've got intersections, which is essentially like this. We have 2 columns. If we wanted 2 columns within that, so for example, if we wanted like one item and then below that one item we wanted 2 more columns, you can click and do that, and that's how you'd set that up. But I don't want that. So instead, I can add an image, I can add a text, like a little paragraph, a video, a button, a divider. And usually if you just have Elementor Basic, if you got like a different host and you just use Elementor, like the free version, this is kind of all you would really get. Down here, Elementor Pro gives you a ton of other things, which is why I usually recommend it for WordPress sites anyway. And so from here, you can see we can add like maps on here, we can add media carousel, we can add a ton of different things, including a countdown. So let's just, I don't know, let's add a countdown right here. We'll add that right there. We'll add some text. Actually, let's move all of these over to the right side. If we want to move text, you click the little pencil icon and move it over there. Pencil icon, move it over there. And let's just add an image over on the left side. So let's add an image now, click and drag image. And this is what I meant by click and drag editor. It's really, really easy to build anything on your website at all, just by simply clicking and dragging it over to the location that you think it would look the best. So let's go and add something like this. We're going to talk maybe a paragraph about how it starts. We're going to say our next live stream about or interview coffee farmers, and we're gonna have a countdown, so you can click on this and say when the date actually is. And so maybe it is June 29th at 5:34 p.m. Sure, that sounds fine to me. PM, there we go. And so that'll have a countdown. Whenever someone visits, it'll let you know how long that's going to be until then. Keep in mind the time zone is going to be right there, UTC +0. So depending on where you are, you really do have to adjust that accordingly. And we could show, maybe we don't want to have seconds, maybe we just want to have days, hours, minutes. That's fine as well. So I'm going to say, and of course, always remember to go down and click on update whenever you remember to do that, because if you're not saving this stuff and something happens, your computer dies, your browser crashes, whatever it might be, you could lose a lot of work. So definitely go there and always click on that update button to save things. Now, let's make sure that, remember I said we wanted a different colored background on this. Let's click on the 6 dots, and you guys might have already guessed it. We're going to go over to style. That's how you change the background. And the style, we've got background type. Let's click on classic. Right now, we have an image there. We don't want that. Let's go to color. We're going to click on color. Right now it's transparent. I'm going to go over here to white. So if we drag it all the way to the corner, that's white. It's just all F's right there. And so that way we have a little bit, kind of breaks up the monotony of this from just being one color the whole way down. Depending on when you're building the website, some people don't like that style, some people do. And we also have a really large space up here. So when it comes to separating things, there's 3 ways you can do this. You can add a spacer, you can add margin, or you can add padding. Now, margin and padding are kind of 2 features that are built into these already. So for this one right here, I believe it's probably this section that just has a lot of padding underneath it. If we go over to advanced, you'll see, there we go, padding. I was right. So we have a lot of padding down here. We can get rid of this and just say 0. But we do want some on the top, so I'll say we have 20, maybe 20 on the top. There we go, say enter. So we got a little bit of padding there. We still have a lot of space down here, so maybe it's not just that. Bottom, we've got a larger margin. I'm gonna get rid of that. Let's just make that 5 actually. There we go. So we've got a little bit of padding, a little bit of margin there, and that gives you a slightly better spacing on everything to kind of give you the whole website in a more consistent layout. So that's kind of some of the basic tools on how to design your entire page. Of course, I do have a full tutorial on how to use Elementor for some of the more detailed stuff, whether that is you're trying to overlay text on images, and there's a lot you can really do with this. But those are the basics of how you'd actually go about editing that. Remember, we've got a section layout. You can always preview things. You can click and drag elements as you want them, and you can click and drag them up and down and move them. Basically, anything you want to adjust or move or edit, you just hover over it till it's outlined, and then you click on either the pencil icon for the smallest items, the little column icon for the larger columns, or on this icon right here for the entire section. That's a hierarchy there of the 3 different levels we have. And from there, you can really edit just about anything you want in the settings over on the left side. So you can click through these, see what these different things are, the background, the overlays, the borders, the dividers, any kind of animations you might want to have. It's all going to be over here. And then advanced is where you're going to find the padding and the margin to adjust between things, as well as some of the more advanced stuff that you probably won't need when you're getting started, with the exception of one advanced feature or advanced setting that I usually do like to point out. So if we want to check this out, let's say in the mobile version. On the bottom, if we go down to hover over this, responsive mode, we click on that, you'll see on the top, this little bar pops up. So we can go and see what this looks like on a mobile site now. And let's say on a mobile site, maybe we just don't like this section altogether. We can click on this section, click on the 6 dots, and go over to advanced, go down to responsive, and from here we can say maybe we just want to hide this on a phone, or we want to reverse the colors, the columns on a phone. So keep in mind that it's going to kind of rearrange. It's going to put this down here and then the image above it. If we want to have this above the image, you can just reverse the columns on mobile, and there you go. So now it's going to be set up in a slightly different order. So that's something I personally like to do. Always make sure you're at the very least checking to see what it looks like on mobile. But if you want to hide it all together, you can just hide it on mobile. And when somebody goes on their phone and goes to your website, it would go directly from this all the way down to the next section. They would never see this like grayed out or anything. It doesn't exist there at all for them. But I don't need that. I do want to show this on mobile, and I just wanted to maybe reverse the columns like that. So there we go. We can update this, and let's go back to the desktop mode. I personally like building in desktop best, and then you can see what it looks like in mobile. It's just so much easier to do everything. I'm gonna say update. And so you're starting to get some of the basic ideas of how to build this with Elementor. Now, let's go up to the top left, click on the 3 lines, and go down to exit to dashboard. And from here, we can start going through some of the other things on this website. For example, maybe making a blog post or something like that. So if we go to posts, we can go and add a new post. We're going to add a new one. And maybe this is going to be like a blog article about the history of coffee. The history of coffee. And of course, we can go and edit this with Elementor, but I first want to point out, this is the first interaction you'll probably have with our Yoast Seo plugin. Now, Yoast Seo, as you can see right here, shows you the SEO and the readability score. Now, it's going to give you a really bad score because we have literally no text right now. But once you're done writing the whole article, this is going to tell you, you can really customize like how this shows up in Google on both mobile and desktop results. It's going to make it a lot easier and streamlined and also give you a good score and tell you what you can possibly improve on to make your post more likely to rank higher in Google. It's something that is really powerful. It's a great tool and we love using it. So always make sure you're coming down and checking this out as you go back and update your blogs in the future, as well as after you write it for the first time ever. So I'm gonna go and click on edit with Elementor, and you'll see that we do have a lot of the same tools here as we did with the page builder in Elementor, but we also have some other things as well. Because this is a blog post, we can add some slightly different elements, for example, author. So if I type author, you'll see we can have a little author box. We can add that on here, so click and drag that into here. And so there's a lot of different things we can do here. We can also go and add something from a template. So if we click on the folder, this is something I didn't show you, but this also exists in the page builder as well. So if we click on add template, we can see the page templates, my templates. So I showed you earlier on where you would go to save a template. I don't have any templates that we made in this video, obviously, yet, but we can look at pages or blocks. So I'm not actually going to add an entire page template to this, but maybe we want to have a block. Maybe we want to have one section that's going to be, for example, maybe an FAQ. And rather than building out from scratch, I could type in FAQ, and we'll see we have a lot of different templates for an FAQ that could already show the answer. It could be a little drop-down thing. I'm going to go with this one right here. I think this one looks good. I'm going to insert this, and that is going to be in my blog post now with very little effort at all. So not only can I put the questions there, I can also put the answers down there. This is great for ranking on Google with different questions. Targeting those questions in the question box can be very, very powerful. And it's a really nice way to kind of break up the monotony of a blog article that I think this makes it look a lot better. Now, of course, I didn't design anything on here yet. I really don't like how this looks for a blog post just yet. But you see how you can start to add a lot of those things as well. So let's go back here, and if we click on the array of 9 dots, we can go down and start it off with our title. So if we go up and type in title, we can say page title or post title. We can add our post title. Let's go and add our post title down here. We already have it up there, but let's just add our post title. We've got the author box. And then, of course, we can add a lot of text below that. So I'm going to go and add the text editor just below that. And here's where we can add just a lot of text. There we go. So pretend that's our entire blog post. And we can add images and do all kinds of things to make this look like a proper blog post that would look better. But one of the ways you might want to separate your images, maybe you want to have an image on one side and some more text on the other, we could, of course, add either 2 columns, or we can add an intersection to this. So if I go back and say intersection, remember I showed you before, you can add an image on one side and text on the other. But maybe the image is not the right size for what you want. Let's click and drag. Let's just say it's going to be on the right side. And let's go and add some text on the left side. You'll see what I'm getting at here in a second. Text editor on the left side. We can go and copy this. So there's some text on the left side. And then the image, let's say it's like maybe a taller and skinnier one. See if I can find one like that. I believe, was it this one here? That's a taller, thinner one. We can insert the media. You'll see that that one's really tall and it's really thin, and I would rather have this a little bit stretched over. So with the columns, you can always click on the dotted line and drag it over to wherever you want so that it starts to look at really the right size that you're looking for. So let's just say that I'm going to paste, oh, not quite that much. There we go. And maybe we want to match these up so they're approximately the same height. Let's go to there. So there we go. So this is maybe how you'd edit your blog post. This looks way more like a newspaper than a blog. So obviously this is not the best like text layout you'd want. You want it a little bit more sparse, easier to read, maybe narrower margins all the way down. But you get the idea of how you can actually start to edit this blog post. And once again, always make sure you're going and checking out the responsive mode. What is this blog going to look like on mobile? this is just absolutely brutal to read. So you're gonna wanna break this up with more images and just not have it looking like this. And of course, this again would be where you'd want to maybe switch where the image and the text actually are by flipping that. And just reminding you again, if we click on this, we can go and click on the little array of dots, go to advanced, and of course in responsive mode, we can flip the columns on mobile mode. And that way, again, at least we break it up and have an image above more text. So we like this, and instead of saying save on the bottom, we're actually going to publish this because this is a blog post. So you're gonna be published, you have a published date on this. And of course, we can always go and have a look at that as well. So let's go back, click on the little hamburger icon on the top left, and go back to exit to dashboard. And I think you guys are really starting to get the idea of how you can build a website using Elementor, using WordPress here. And with these plugins that we have, you can really start to optimize it and start to rank on Google. Just add your own information, add your own things, and really start to click through one at a time, spend the time to build it out as a custom website. And honestly, I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, consider liking and subscribing. I'm Mike O'Brien from Santrel Media. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.